This is a model of my F-86D in England with all the same markings that I had in England with the checkerboard squadron that was in with the Queen. And this was the 86D with the radome here, and the rocket pod is here holding 24 rockets. And that's what I was supposed to shoot down the UFO with. And this is my favorite airplane. When I first came to Manston, the first thing we had to do was to, quote, transition to the new airplane. Well, I was already transitioned. I was trained at Perrin Air Force Base in Texas, which did nothing but train F-86D pilots. Okay, when I got there, we had everybody in the squadron had to get up to speed at the same level. We fired rocketry at Tripoli. We did all kinds of things. Once we finally knew what we were doing, so they say, they put us on alert. That we had to take a share of the alert. This is for the RAF and the USAF, depending on which airplanes were on duty. We would be on alert, waiting to be scrambled. Now the scrambles usually were nothing more than some airliner that was lost, or somebody up there that was in trouble, and they wanted us to come up and lead them in. That's usually what happened. When I got this scramble, this is a different story. We were at the end of the runway in our alert shack, waiting for a scramble order, and I got it. It was somewhere near midnight. I don't remember the exact time, but it was very close to midnight. I scrambled, we got into the airplane and took off. The minute I took off, I checked into the GCI site, which was given to me when I took off, and the GCI advised me, pick up a heading of 120 and go gate, which I was already at gate, which means going to afterburner all the way. The soup was so thick you couldn't see any lights, you couldn't see anything. It was a set of clouds that went from the ground up to 32,000 feet, and I couldn't see a thing. It was one of these pea soup fogs that they had in England at the time. And during these pea soup fogs, this is when they were burning coal mostly in England, and therefore the fogs were really tough. So anyway, the minute I got airborne, actually before I got airborne, they indicated this would be a hot fire measure. Hot fire? I turned and it says, you will be ordered to fire 24 rockets. Well, that's a very heavy order, the kind of order that you demand an authentication. So I picked up my little matrix and went through the authentication procedure, and I looked down and they gave me 2 letters. They said, yes, this is not a problem. That means I have to fire. From that moment on, it was, I didn't know what to hope. This was either a Russian or some aircraft that they wanted to shoot.
Were you afraid that you were going to cause World War III?
First, my first concern was, Jesus, this is the first shot of World War III. I didn't want to hear that, but nevertheless, that's what ran through my mind. I just went through the motions. I was ordered to fire on this machine, and I was going to fire on it. I was going to salvo rockets, 24 of them. That was my orders, 24 rockets. That's the whole load of shot. So, as far as I was concerned, that was my orders, and that's all I was going to do. And being a good fighter pilot, I thought anyway, I'm going to obey my orders. And just salute and say, yes, sir, and proceed ahead. I had no idea what it was. So we continued on the mission. I selected the rockets. I was ready to go. They advised me to turn on a heading. It'd be a firing. We actually made what they call an intern vector. So that means my wingman was about 5 miles behind me. We would turn on the same vector, and we would come into this, whatever it was, bomber or whatever. They advised me, look on your port side at about 15 miles. That's where it's at. Sure enough, there it was. As big as I said before, as big as an aircraft carrier as far as the blip was concerned. It was an easy lock on, very easy. My radar was telling me that I got about 200 knot overtake on him, over what he was going, and I was going at Mach .92, and were being Mach 1 would be around 750. We couldn't go that fast. At any rate, I had a solid lock, and now came in the target, and it gives you a circle on the radar, and in that circle they have another little circle, and it has the Jizzle band. The Jizzle band is the band you see on the radar when it goes round and round, except in our case it was held still because I was locked on. Anyway, as I was going in, I looked up there. My overtake was holding at about 250 to 300 knots, somewhere in that neighborhood, closure rate. And then all of a sudden, I got I started to shrink. This means I'm going to tell him. I said, Judy, you know, which means to them that I've got the complete intercept on my own. I'm ready to fire. I pulled the trigger, and nothing happened, but it was coming in, and just about 2 or 3 seconds to go. It's supposed to go into a flat line where I just put the dot on the line, and the radar takes over all computations and fires the missiles if I have it depressed. Well, that didn't happen. Next thing I know, I look up, I see the Jizzle band was in center, and this blip was going straight north, straight away from me, and away from me, and it was going at I estimate Mach 10, because it was so fast. And the RAF told me this time that we've lost our target. He went off our radar completely, and we have a 250-mile scope, and he's gone. And I said, well, he's gone with me too. He's out of range. I'm returning and going home. So I did, and they vectored me to home plate. At any rate, that's when they told me that call me on the landline, and I got the rest of the information on the landline. Then they told me that the British were sending somebody down from London to debrief me, and that's all that happened that day. I landed, went home. The next morning I went to work, and this guy, the spook, comes in, and Ron Kane brings him to me, and I had no idea who he was or what. Anyway, he flashed a card that wasn't national security, but it was an official government bag. And so I expected it might be CIA. Who knows what it was? He was a spook, that's all I knew. So I told him the whole story, and he told me, no uncertain terms, don't tell anybody, this has been declared top secret, and if you open your mouth to anybody, that includes your commander or your wingmen or anybody else, if you open up your mouth to anybody, and he says, we'll get you off of flying status. That was enough for me to be quiet for the rest of the time.
In layman's terms, how fast is Mach 10?
An SR-71, which is called the Blackbird, is no longer flying for the Air Force, but it was flying at 3,000 miles per hour. Mach 10 is more than like 10,000 miles an hour, 10 times the speed of sound. My Blackbird couldn't fly that, and nothing on the drawing board that we've got now can fly that, except maybe the shuttle as it goes through the atmosphere. So those airplanes, those missiles, would go very high speeds, but not like this one, because this UFO was able to stop and orbit over the ground, come from great speeds to a sudden stop that would kill us. With inertia, we would be strained to the straps, so to speak, with that kind of speed. Yet it could accelerate to 10,000 in no time at all. So this means there's something beyond our propulsion systems. Now, I can imagine in the future that they have magnetic propulsion systems based on gravitation of spheres such as Jupiter and Venus and Mars and what have you. But we don't have that system yet until we're able to harness the gravitational pull. We won't be able to do that. These people are doing something with their propulsion system that we haven't been able to do as yet. That doesn't mean we won't. We probably will. They're ready to go on. But Mach 10 is extremely high speed. Listen, I don't know what this alien spacecraft is made of. The last I heard, it was very light. However, we don't have the materials at this time, but we will have, because in the case of the SR-71, those materials were not together. They would leak fuel all the time, and the only thing you had to do is turn the engines on, and then everything. When you go those speeds, those plates would seal itself, and that's beyond us, beyond anything we're doing yet, except for the. I don't know about Mach 10. I don't know what Mach they're going to be able to go to. I don't even guess anymore. But it means it takes a lot of good engineering.